Back on the record. I'll open up public comment. Anybody have any? I don't mind. Yeah, no mind. Hello, Mr. Clifford.
Hi. I'd like to talk about the last NSTA report and enrollment projection that was done. I saw a notice in the town newsletter a while back.
Thank you.
After seeing a reference in the newsletter from the town administrator a while back about an increase in enrollment trend, I was mystified by that, so I started looking on the website, on the school department website, and I had remembered looking at the NSTA projection that went in with the RIDE application for school construction, and it didn't show an increase in that. So, long story short, I asked the superintendent and Sherry if there had been a new NSTA enrollment projection done other than the one that was in the application to RIDE, and they forwarded that to me. And I cannot believe the quality of this projection. If you're at all familiar with the enrollment projections, it's supposed to be the most accurate the first year out, the second year out, and as it's extended, the 10th year, there'd be a bigger disparity in the accuracy. This projection is obscenely off, unheard of in the industry. I'd like to know another enrollment projection that they've ever done that has been so far off the mark in year one. They had projected that this year you'd have 1,749 students in grades pre-K through 12, and you have 1,652, 97 students less than what they projected. It's unheard of. It's supposed to be like a 1% discrepancy one way or another for the first year, not 97 students. I don't know if we still pay for these, but if we do, we got gypped, and I'd like to know if the committee would consider having them appear before you and explain how this discrepancy could have taken place. Typically, there's only a big deviation in their projections if there's information that they got which was inaccurate. If like this year's enrollment figures weren't accurate and there was a typo in the enrollment figures that were provided to them, or there was something happening in the community that they weren't aware of. And that did happen a couple of years ago when the housing complex on Buxton Street opened. Nobody had informed NSTA that that project was going to be opening up, and it was a subsidized housing and there'd be students enrolled in the school. So they hadn't accounted for that when they did their projection. But there was nothing extraordinary in this year when this projection was done. And the one that went in with NSTA, with the application, projected that you would have 1,573 students in the system by the year 26-27. By the school year 2026-27, the enrollment would be down by 50 to 1,573. The one that you sent in afterwards, after the RIDE application went in, showed the enrollment would be going up to 1,757 by that same year. That's almost a 200 student swing, like 170 something students. It's insane. It's insane. And they used to be very on target with their projections. And then in 14 and 15, they started playing around with the numbers, and I don't know if they have a new statistician or the person is taking more liberties in identifying trends that aren't really there, but in 14-15, we did pick up on a mistake because the same thing happened. The projection came in way higher than it should have, and I called the Department of Health and looked up the actual live birth data, and found out that they weren't using the accurate live birth data. So their projections were all on the high side because they were using estimated births instead of actual birth data. And they were off significantly, like 74 births versus they reported 89 births. That makes a big difference and a ripple effect over the 10-year period by grade level, for every grade level going down. So, but this is unheard of. I'm serious. It's unheard of that you'd be off by that much in year one. And I challenged them to show us in what other community they was ever so far off the mark. Because I don't believe it's possible. Unless, as I said, some information was given to them that wasn't accurate, or they were unaware of something that was happening in town, as has happened in the past. But to have paid for this, it's a joke. Everybody in the school department could have done year one with a much greater degree of accuracy. When we know how many kids are at what grade level now, in each of the grade levels, it's not hard to figure out how many you're going to have next year. And to be off by 97 kids is ridiculous. This went in with the RIDE application, where we were supposed to prove the need for housing and the school construction. They use bogus numbers as far as I'm concerned. Those numbers aren't going to hold. And when they redo this, if you contracted to have them redo it, I really think maybe it's time to start looking for another firm to do it. If this is the type of, it's a boilerplate report that they give you. Look at all the previous reports. It's the same text in the message, just different percentages here and there. They talk about the same things in all the reports, but to be this far off is insane. And I can't believe that nobody at RIDE, including Mr. De Silva, didn't pick up on this. When there's almost a 200-point swing in the 10-year projection from the one you had in the application to the new one that you submitted after the application was in, I don't understand how that wouldn't be a red flag to everybody and their brother. So I would like to hear from them, and I'd like to ask you to represent the taxpayers of the town who paid for this thing, and have them come here and explain to you how it could possibly be that far off, and why. I mean, they must have some, logistical reason for the discrepancy here. They talked in the report about a hidden trend of, positive immigration, but I looked over the other reports that I have, and there's no big difference in the positive trend in migration from previous years back. I want to point out that when they did the enrollment projection in 2009, they projected that by year 2018-19, we'd have 1,651 students. I just told you a minute ago, in October enrollment, 1,652. 10 years out, off by one student. So how do you explain 1 year out, off by 97 students? Absolutely ridiculous. We're getting ripped off, as far as I'm concerned, if we're paying for this nonsense. So I really would like you to pursue it. I'd like you to have them here and make them available to answer questions and explain how they came up with the numbers that they did and where they're getting their trend information from. I mean, just because you have an increase in 1 year doesn't establish a trend. A trend is usually over a multiple year period. So I don't know if you're going to be discussing it tonight. I did exchange some emails with Mr. St. Jean trying to figure out what the cause could have been, but I'd be interested in hearing from NSDIC themselves. One, give me the name of another district where you've ever been off by this percentage in the first year of a 10-year projection, because I don't think it's possible. And two, how could this be so far off? And are we going to get this year's projection done for free because they messed this one up so badly? I don't understand why we even, we paid for this. It's a joke that we paid for it. It's just, seriously, folks, pull some reports and look at these enrollment projections. This doesn't happen. Year one is never off like this. So something's wrong, and I don't know what it is, but I'm anxious to find out.
Okay, so superintendent, did we pay for that?
I think the bill for NSTA is about $2,000 a year.
So let's communicate with them and see if we're in agreement that the numbers are off as to why, and two, if they can do it this year for free. Let's ask those type of questions. And then after they do it, maybe we can have them in rather than ask them why it's wrong. Look at it later. But it's my understanding, Andrea, I just want to correct one thing. I don't think that we submitted this report to RIDE.
You did. I was told you did.
No, it was this report wasn't available at the time of submission to RIDE, so it was the previous year's data.
Well, I thought you told me in an email that the one saying 1573 dated 12/7/2016 was submitted with the application, and the one that was done on November 20th, 2017 came in after the submission of the application, but you forwarded to RIDE.
No, the only requirement was to have information from a demographer in stage 1 of the application. That was not included in stage 2.
What was included in stage 2? Did they get the second enrollment projection?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, I'll reread the email, but that's not
I'm
correct.
pretty sure it was.
I don't want to get into a debate,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that
Yeah.
I just want to make it clear
Yeah.
that we don't think,
Yeah.
that was the information I received. But valid point, if the numbers are that far off, I think we do need an explanation.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Community comments? Okay, let's move to the. There we go.
That's what I was trying to avoid, sorry. Just trying to take away some of the slack. I apologize.
So, let's go to the consent agenda. Does anybody have anything they want to pull off the consent?
So I just have a point of clarification. Can we still pass something that's on the consent agenda even if there's just like typo stuff on it? In other words, like there's something, I don't know whether I just pull it and then we discuss it afterwards or whether I can just pull it?
Yeah.
Pull it. So I would like to pull 6. So 5B6. Second reading revised policy, high school graduation requirements?
Yes. Okay, now, I don't want to pull 7, but Superintendent, you just want to give us, this is a big contract, if you can just give us some background on it, if that's okay.
So previously, we had a contract with Aramark for food services. However, there was a new statewide contract that was granted to Chartwells. And so, yes, this year we switched from Aramark to Chartwells. And I have to say, we're very pleased with the service. We've heard really good comments on the quality of the food. We met with Chartwells today and went over some of the financials and staffing and some of the plans that they have moving forward. So we have no qualms or regrets moving to this statewide contract.
But as far as how parents and kids can purchase lunch, that's not going to change.
We kept it at the same price. Now, not to say next year we may have to raise by a nickel or a dime. In fact, that would have happened had we remained with Aramark regardless. So the prices are pretty well fixed and controlled. But we are very pleased with the quality of the food and the service that we've been receiving from Chartwells.
Does anybody have any questions? All right, then I'll entertain a motion to pass the consent agenda except for item 5D6.
This is number 6.
No, it's actually number 6. I'm sorry.
Oh. 6.
All right,
So moved.
Second.
a motion made, seconded. Let's roll call to this contract.
Mr. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. Bassett?
Yes.
Mrs. Johannes?
Yes.
Mrs. Mayo?
Yes.
Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
And Mrs. Vaughn? Yes. Motion carries 6-0.
Great. Mrs. Vadas, number 6.
So I agree with the policy, and I did the reading on it. It's just outdated. So, for example, it has the Board of Regents in it instead of the Board of Education. So, you know, I mean, there were just different things in it that I want to make sure before we go and pass it, that it's up to date. So I'd be happy to even kind of go through it and make sure it's got all the right
Right, because
terminology
this
in
was
there.
updated for some changing requirements at RIDE, so.
But it wasn't changing some of the things that have happened from a regulatory perspective in the meantime. So I'm happy to kind of go through it.
Please.
So I agree with the policy itself, but I have no problem with that and the changes that were made. It was just making sure that before we make it finalized, that's all.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to continue. Next meeting? Right? Sure.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Reports? Superintendent?
I think we're doing assistant superintendent.
Who's doing reports? Oh. Sorry.
Will you be my clicker?
I'll be your clicker.
So I have only like 4 slides. Just
I got them here, but
There you go.
I need a magnifying glass. I just noticed it was towards the top, so I thought that was good. I couldn't see what the actual score
Right,
was.
it is towards the top. So basically, what I wanted to do is share our SAT, PSAT data with you. And there's been some changes with the SAT. If you remember, way back in the day, it was over 1,600 points, and then it was changed to 2,400 points. Well, now it's back to 1,600. And in 2017, we changed from, as a state assessment, we took the Clark assessment, and all students, 3rd grade through 10th, 11th grade, were taking the Clark for our state assessment. That changed. We went to dry pass for 3 through 8. The state made that decision, and then for the high school, they chose to do the PSAT, SAT. That was a big win for us because we had too many tests, and you can't prepare well for all of them. And the SAT is important as a measure of student achievement, but it's an important measure for colleges, for college applications, for our students who are in many competitive schools. So to be able to focus in on the SAT is definitely really great for us. So we're thrilled that the state chose the SAT to also be our state assessment for student achievement.
Click.
So how did we do? So this is the first year, and we've never gotten SAT data this way because we've never used it as student achievement benchmark. So what the state had to do was work with the College Board, and they had to say, well, typically students take the SAT and then they get their individual results. Well, the Department of Education actually had to make cut scores to determine what is exceeding the standard, meeting the standard, partially meeting, and not meeting. And then that's how they report out, and that's how we satisfy all of our federal regulations. And so just to give you a general idea for SAT, ELA literacy, we had 69% of our students that met or exceeded the state bar for on the SAT. We were 19% above the state average in comparison to 47 districts / charters. That's how they gave us the data. We ranked number 9. And our average scale score was a 535, which is really a good solid score. That's a college-ready score that students will get into good solid colleges. So that's how we did on the ELA for math. We had 55% of our students met or exceeded the expectations on the math portion. We were 25% above the state average, so we were actually higher, further above the state average than the ELA. In comparison to the 47 districts and charters, we ranked number 6 for the SAT math, and our average scale score was 532, which again is a good, solid college-ready score. PSATs, this is the first time we had mandatory PSATs for all of our 10th graders. 80% of our students met or exceeded the expectations on it says math, but it's actually literacy portion of the SAT. We're 23% above the state average. We're ranked number 7, and our scaled score is 501. And for the PSAT math, 51% met or exceeded, 17% above the state average. In comparison to the 47 districts / charters, we're ranked number 9, and we have an average scale score of 479. So that's where we are. And what we're doing with this, and I'm so glad that we focus in on SAT and PSAT, is now what do we do with the data? And so that is, do I know? So we really just utilize the information to inform our program, engage program strengths, identify opportunities for program improvements, of course inform our parents, student performance, and our larger community. That's what I'm doing tonight. Provide additional opportunities for preparation. So there is research that shows that preparing for the SAT, I think it's 20 hours, you can actually gain 100 points. So preparation is really important, and SATs are so important not only for our state standings, but it's really for our students to get into colleges, and it's also the scholarships that they get with colleges, and colleges definitely, and scholarships use SAT scores for that. And so we will be coming out to all juniors, our current juniors that will be doing, last year we ran like a Saturday SAT prep for any North Smithfield High School junior. This year we're going to run 4 Saturdays, and they're going to be spread out once a month. And the idea is there's a lot of resources we can give students, and then they can go home and practice and prepare as much as they want. A month later, come back and take some more practice tests, have some teachers there, get students on Khan Academy. There's actually an SAT portion on Khan Academy. So we have 4 teachers that are willing to come in on Saturdays and teach this, and we're going to be sending that out probably after the holidays for parents to sign up. And so that's where we are. Questions?
It's really impressive, very impressive.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?